Welcome to the Witchwood. I'm Peter Whalen, one of the designers on the Hearthstone team, and today we're going to dive into the spookiest mechanic of the expansion, Echo. The story of Echo starts months ago when the expansion had a different setting but an equally chilling name, Murder on the Gilnean Express. When we start working on a set, the first thing we do is broad mechanics exploration. Basically, if someone has an idea that could fit more than one card, we'll give it a shot. And the Gilnean Express was no different. We had a ton of fun ideas, things like investigate. With this new keyword, you built a murderer minion over several discovers, determining their attack and health, buffing them with Divine Shield or Lifesteal, or even giving them powerful battle cries. We also tried out mysteries. You discover a card, and then your opponent would get the same discover. If they guessed the card you picked, they'd get a copy of it too. And finally, to capture the spooky vibe of that fateful train ride, we had Ghostly. Ghostly meant discard this at the end of the turn. Take a look at Ghost, a card from early testing. This was a 1-mana 2/2, but you needed to play it the turn you drew it. So you could either play out your turn exactly the way you planned, or you could take advantage of your cool Ghostly toy and change up your turn a little bit. Some other cards added ghostly copies of themselves to your hand. As we kept iterating, the question we asked was, what's the most fun version of Ghostly? And the overwhelming answer was the cards that replicated themselves. They were cool early game since you had to play, but late game you could sink extra mana into them. If you were playing a deck that wanted, say, taunt minions, you could get a bunch of them for just one card. And deciding how long to hold on to them to eke out just a little more value was skill testing and interesting. Over the months that followed, the set evolved. We lost the Gilnean Express and found Hagatha the Witch. We moved away from murder investigation and toward terrifying things in the woods. And Ghostly became more and more the perfect flavor fit for the set. So we took Ghostly and went all in. Now we had repeatable cards in a haunted forest, and Echo was born. Echo cards return to your hand after they are played. As long as you have the mana, you can play them multiple times in the same turn. Like Ghostly, Echo had a bunch of design space. One of the things we wanted to capture was cards that were good early and late. Take a look at Phantom Militia. It's a 2/4 taunt that you can play on turn 3, but later in the game you can play it 2 or even 3 times. If you want taunt minions for something like your quest, this can give you a pretty big boost.
Our vigil shall never end.
With Phantom Militia, you often want to spend your whole turn on it. It's not true for all the Echo cards. Take a look at Warpath. With Warpath, you get a scaling AoE spell. You can adjust to the current situation, whether that's clearing a whole board of Murlocs or triggering your Acolyte of Pain a bunch of times. Finally, we wanted some Echo cards where you might not know for sure how many times you're going to play them. Take a look at the new rogue legendary minion, Face Collector. If you have 9 mana, you might plan to play Face Collector several times. But if that first legendary you get is particularly awesome, maybe you change your mind and play that instead.
Such a perfect specimen.
Echo cards capture the spooky spirit of the set and let you scale your cards to face off against the horrible things hiding in the woods. I am incredibly excited about the Witchwood, and I hope you are too. Thanks for watching.